Welcome in on this sunny, bright Sunday afternoon to the Stonington Free Library. My name is Millie Donovan, and I am so happy to have this particular photographer here today. He will introduce himself, but please just enjoy the show, relax. Hopefully we'll learn a little bit about photography today. With regards to the Stonington Free Library, all of our programs are free and open to the public, so be sure to check our calendar. We have ongoing programs throughout the year. In particular, the next program here is on Thursday, and it is a talk by Anne Fix on Turkey. She's traveled to Turkey for the duration of her life, and she's going to bring some of her photographs and some of her experiences here to the library. That starts at 5 p.m. We also are accepting submissions to our photo contest this year. And the winner of that photo contest will get a solo show in our gallery, as well as a little money and some bragging rights, because you become an SFL gallery artist. So if you consider that, please, again, take a look at our website for all of the details. Okay. So with that being said, I'm going to invite David Hendley up, and he will introduce himself. Thank you.
Thank you, Millie. So thank you all for coming. I really appreciate you all being here, and especially thank the library for inviting me to display my art. So emotional landscapes. Why would I call my work emotional landscapes? This is what I do. This is what I feel, and I want you all to feel exactly the way I felt when I was taking the image. I'm going to go through a series of images, and I really want you to relax and feel exactly, and try to put yourself in the location, in the place of where I was when I was taking the photo. I look for a few things when I am taking photos. The composition, obviously, but to get that composition, I'm looking for simplicity, and you'll see that throughout the presentation. I'm looking for moodiness. You'll definitely see that throughout the composition, and light, and all of that brings together the composition of what I'm looking to actually achieve. And when you see that, hopefully, you're going to be in that place, in that moment where I was. So this is the agenda. I'm going to go through a couple of chapters. The first chapter is going to be a collage of different places that I have been, different nature and landscape photos to try to get you kind of in the mood of exactly my type of photography. And then I'm going to go through some chapters. But the first one, collage and landscape and nature, it's going to be, like I just said, through many different things, but also you will notice on the top of each page, you're going to see a number. So each page is numbered. And if you have any questions, please just write it down on a piece of paper or something, because I don't want to go through questions throughout the presentation. Let's wait until the very end of the presentation, so then everyone can ask questions and you know the number, and I can go back to that screen, or I can go back to that image, and we can have a conversation about it. Make sense? Okay. Yes, please.
Turn the music off. The music is part of it. Got it.
Okay, so that kind of gives you, you can clap, go ahead. So that kind of gives you an idea of the style that I like to use when I am finding places to go and looking for areas to go. So seascapes, I kind of started my photography and learning photography by taking seascapes. I'm self-taught, so I would go to the ocean every day. This started maybe in 2017, 2018. I'd go in the morning, I'd go in the evening, and I would just work and work and work and take thousands and thousands of photos to try to understand how to take these gorgeous photographs that I've seen in National Geographic or other images in other books, but that's how I was working it. I was every day, every morning, just about every evening, and trying to understand the camera, which I was reading the manual from front to back, trying to understand it. And so seascapes was kind of my favorite thing to actually take. I love the water movement, and you'll see that here. And then obviously that morphed into other things. But you'll see salty air and seascape. So salty air is like a little project that it'll probably be a forever project that I'm working on, because I just called a certain amount of photographs salty air, and I don't even know what the heck I'm going to do with them. But you'll see, and you'll see also, I'll have salty air photographs, but you're going to get a sense of when the photographs actually changed to some that I'd taken when we lived in California, and that's where I learned it. I'm originally from Connecticut, but we lived in California for a while, and that's where I was learning how to take these photographs. But you'll notice the actual switch from photographs around here in New England to some that are from California. Okay. So, that's one of my loves is seascapes, and you could probably feel the energy there. And that's, I just love being by the ocean. I love being in the water. I don't like getting my camera soaked, but sometimes I have to do that to get what I want. So I'm glad that you enjoyed it. So desert. Sorry, I don't like standing behind this. For one thing with desert, I cannot stand sand. It's like a love-hate relationship between sand and desert with me. I can't stand sand, but I love being in the desert taking photos, especially in a windstorm. And you're going to see some pictures here where I'm in a very serious windstorm. In fact, I drove like mad, 5.5 hours, and I was living in California to be in this windstorm that I had been waiting for about 5 or 6 months. And it's just that I needed to get, I've been to this place in Death Valley many, many times. So I knew where to go, even though I couldn't see. I had goggles on and everything was covered. I knew where to go and I knew what I wanted to get. As much as I hate sand, I love photographing in the desert. So please look for the different types of shades. Look at how I use light. Look at how the curvatures of all of the sand dunes that show up and how I use that within the frame. And just think about all of the sand that's just blowing everywhere. And I was picking sand out of my butt for months, but please enjoy. So those desert photos, just to let you know the story, I had been waiting for, like I said, 5 or 6 months for the windstorms to come into Death Valley. And I think my wife and I, Christine, we were doing something, and on my phone, the tickler comes that storm is coming to Death Valley. I'm like, oh my gosh, I gotta go. I gotta go now. And so she, which she does very well, she goes, well, I'm not coming because I'm not sleeping in the car, because I always sleep in the car, and she doesn't want to sleep in the car. So packing up all of my things, and she makes me my 5 or 6 cent sandwiches and some other things, and loads me up, and then I'm just gone. And I go, and I think I got there at it must have been 7 or 8, and the wind was already howling and blowing. This is 7 or 8 at night. So I'm asleep, and I wake up in the morning, and I can't see out of the car because it's covered, fully covered with sand. And I know that I have to drive maybe another mile or 2 to get where I need to go, and then I have to hike about a mile out into the desert to get where I want to go. And people always ask me, well, how do you know how to get back? And I just know if I could see the mountains, I know where I parked. So if I could see the mountains, then I know where to go. And luckily, through all of the storm, I could see just barely the mountains, and I knew where to go. But as much as I hate sand, I love taking photos out in the desert. Love taking. So forest. Here, I would like for you to look at how many times I go back to a location. How many times I'm going to a location, whether it's in the morning or in the evening or a different season. So you're going to see photos, the same photos, maybe from practically the same spot, but different lighting, different season. And I go back to the same spot a lot, maybe 12 times, maybe 15 times, because the lighting is always different. Seasons are different. I may see something different. The mood definitely I'm looking for is different, whether it's foggy, whether it's the sun is low, the angle of the sun. All of these different things impact if I'm going to take the shot or not. And also, I could love an image. I could sit there and just love this scenery. But if that scenery is not speaking to me in an emotional way, then I usually won't take the shot. I'll just sit there and enjoy what I'm looking at. And then I'll come back again, and I'll come back again. And then maybe somewhere along the line, the light is right, or maybe I'm sitting in a different spot and it hits me a different way, and that's when I compose the composition. So please enjoy forest photos. Let's see. So obviously, I like to go back to the same place which you have seen several times because it looks different every time to me. There was also a shot in there of some foxes that you may have seen, and I've taken photographs of animals before. That was by total surprise of me coming downstairs in the house and seeing this in the backyard and praying that it stays while I run upstairs and get my camera. It heard everything that I was doing, and I'm like, oh no, it's gonna go. And I just got really, really lucky that it stayed around for a few seconds, and I was able to get a couple of shots of it. So lakes, which I am really in love with. Please look for how I use light again. Please look for the mood, which is critically important, and the reflections that I use. Probably for me, when I'm looking to go out and shoot somewhere on a lake, mood is probably the most important that I'm looking for. Not particularly fond of bright sunny days, more rainy, snowy, the nastier, the better for me. And that goes with the woodlands also. So please enjoy lakes. So one other thing that I really enjoy is taking photographs of images that obviously really appeal to me and my emotions, but people walk by every day and that they don't notice it. And I love it. It's like a huge compliment when someone asks me, "Where's that from?" And I could say, "It's in your backyard. It's within 100 feet of where you are right now," and they just cannot believe it because they walk by it every day. And that brings me such joy because that means, okay, what I'm doing is working. I'm always looking for a certain light. I'm always looking for a certain composition. So minimalism, um, I've really started to gravitate toward minimalism over the past year, year and a half, and that is kind of breaking a large scene down to just a little piece that you may not see. And you'll see a lot of images here that may not be totally per se minimalism, but it has the aura of minimalism. You'll see photos on this site from Yosemite, and you'll see El Capitan, where I've broken it down to certain pieces where, maybe 6 years ago, I was taking the big, huge scape of El Capitan, and now when I see it or when I'm there, I'm taking these little pieces of this is what it looks like if you're breaking it down, if you're really focused on how beautiful the mountain is. So this is minimalism. I hope you enjoy. So this is the last chapter before we get into Q&A. So lately, over the past year and a half, I've been really fascinated by water lily and white lotus flowers. I guess there's not much that I can say about them, except that I just love either being in the water taking photos of them or finding the right composition, which is very, very difficult because you have the flower, which is kind of the star of the show. But I'd like to build a story around that flower. So there's a story around the flower, and you can see from the background how I use the background and how I use different shades of light that I'm waiting for to happen. But the flower's the star, and I just love building the story around it. So look for that when you're looking through these photos. To me, it's like they have their own personality. Like when I'm taking pictures of them, it's just like they have their own little personality, and you know, some are shy and some are blooming. Yeah. So thank you very much. Hope you enjoyed it, and now questions.
What thought process do you go through when deciding whether it should be black and white or color? I mean, all those lily pictures are all black and white. It would be interesting to know why you chose that versus having the colors with the bright greens and the whites.
So I'll answer it throughout because that goes through the whole presentation. Somehow along the way, I've kind of trained my eye to see first in black and white. So when I'm looking at a composition, my mind goes right to black and white first. And then then of course I'm looking at color and I'm like, well, is it going to be a great color photo? So then I'll set my camera up for black and white and see how it looks through the screen. And then I'm really focused on what I want. Okay, it's going to be a black and white shot. Or I can take the photo in color and then change it to black and white in post-editing, which I don't normally do. If I'm intent on black and white, then that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to do black and white. For the flowers, there was no question in my mind throughout the entire process that it was going to be in black and white because the flower is so light, the background is dark. I thought that would give a more emotional feel like it was given to me. So that's why. Yeah.
What do you shoot with?
Canon 5D. Lately I've been using my 70 to 200 lens. More, I'm kind of challenging myself with that lens. But I only have 2 lenses. I have a third that I don't use too much, and the 70 to 200 lens is what I've been using a lot lately. My 30 to 70 is what I used to go through a lot. If I'm in the forest, then I'm using that one more. Yes.
I have a question about aspect ratio.
Oh, please. Okay.
Okay. Sorry.
No. Go ahead.
Bring it up. I noticed you rarely use landscape. Not for a landscape photographer. Okay. And then some are square or square-ish. And portrait.
That's a very good question. Yeah, I am going to repeat the question. So, as you know, as you've seen, some of the photos were widescreen. That's a landscape photo. Then you have 1 by 1. You saw a lot that were square, and then you have the portrait, which is vertical. That is all depending on the composition that I want. And by feel. If I feel like this is going to be a great 1 by 1 photo, then I'm looking through my screen at 1 by 1. If I'm seeing things to the side that I may want to include in the photo, then obviously that's going to be a landscape photo. It's all on how I'm visualizing, which is a big part of how I take photos, is visual. I'm not a technical photographer at all. Everything for me, I'm looking at it from a composition, from my eyes. I'm not sitting there and wondering how fast the water is going to be moving, even though it's kind of strange with me because I taught myself, so a lot of it is just by feel, and how am I feeling? What is my mood like, maybe? That's the best way that I can answer that. Yes?
Do you shoot in that ratio?
Yes, so that's a great question, because in that ratio, if I'm looking at something and I'm like, you know what, I'm forming it from a vision that I have, and I'm thinking it's going to be a great 1 by 1 shot, then that's what I'm taking the photo in. If I feel that it's going to be a great landscape photo, then that's what I'm taking the shot in. No, my crops is very rare. Yeah, because this is a very good point, because when I'm taking a photo, you have the post-editing of if you're going to make any type of edits to the photo or anything. With me, and it's probably from being self-taught, that when I'm taking a photo, I try to get it as close as possible to what I want to see on the screen as the end result. So my compositions, I put a lot of time into them. If I'm looking at something, then I'm going to take the time to make sure that the camera is set correctly. I'm looking at exactly what I want. I've walked around. I've done my composition walking around to see exactly if this angle's good, this angle's bad, if I'm down, or if I'm up. I'm making sure that it's as perfect as possible when I take the shot, because that's exactly what I want. I don't want to sitting at a computer and post editing for God knows when. Because I don't like sitting at a computer anyway, but I want to get it as close as possible to the end result. Yep. Yes.
How did you decide, how did you pick your desert areas? How did you know in advance, this desert, this place is where I want to go to take pictures?
Yep.
Same thing with canyons.
Yep.
Have you been there before?
Yeah, so I visited them many times. I think prior to me looking at photography, we would take family trips there to different places. And then when I started to get into photography, I think I always had the eye. My vision was always there, because when I was younger, really younger, there were two books that I looked at, or two magazines that I've always looked at: Sports Illustrated and National Geographic. National Geographic, I would go through page by page and just look at the photographs and just study them and study them and study them. So those places were always of interest to me, and now it was just when I started to take pictures, okay, what is it that I really want to take a picture? What looks interesting to me? So like the desert was always fascinating to me. Then I would just go off and I would explore. I would tell my wife, I'm going to go for a couple of days and I'm going to explore. Yeah, and she, and I would tell her, soups, and I would say, I think she would either follow me on the phone, or she just wouldn't think about it because she'd be nervous. So I would call her whenever I had a signal and go, I'm still alive, I'm here, you know, and I'm just going to go over this way and I'll go over that way. And, but exploring that's what I always liked, explore.
What was your most difficult shot?
I'll show you. Well, wait a minute. There's difficulty because of the weather conditions, and then there's difficulty because the shot is difficult itself. Difficult because of weather conditions. Difficult because of the composition itself. 1 second. I will show you exactly what it is, because it's a let me see something, just so that you're not staring at the screen.
It's gonna take a minute to warm up.
Oh, will it? No. So if you could hit the light, Millie, the lights for a second. So this shot, I hope you can see it well, was probably my most difficult shot, because everything was changing so fast. It's probably one of my most favorite shots also. Everything was changing so fast. So a few things. You have the light here in the sky, how it's kind of pinkish orange, and you have the storm here, and you have the waterfall here, and then you have this line coming here. So when I saw this, I kind of panicked because I knew what I wanted, but everything was changing so quickly. The storm was changing quickly, the light was changing quickly, and I knew that to get this the way that I wanted to get the waterfall also, and I saw this line. So as far as difficulty, this was my most difficult shot, and I think I took 3 or 4 shots to get that. I'm not one of the photographers that'll sit there and rapid fire, ching, 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 you know, really fast. I've just never done that. I took a shot and looked at it, took another shot, was unhappy, and now I'm really trying to get the waterfall in this line here. And this was starting to change. And I was getting depressed, and I'm like, oh no, I only got a couple of seconds to go. And I got really lucky, and I got it exactly the way that I wanted it. And then I looked behind, I walked away from my camera for just a second because I wanted to see if there was another waterfall somewhere, and I turned around and my whole tripod and camera was in the water. So that was the other reason, but that was, yeah.
What do you do if your camera goes in the water?
I'm sorry?
What do you do if your camera goes in the water?
Oh, luckily when I walked away, you can turn the lights back on, Millie. Luckily when I walked away, I turned the camera off, so the chip was saved, but the camera was not. Yeah.
What were your
Yes,
settings? What were your settings for that? Approximately.
Maybe 0.3 of a second. Because the other thing that I did not want, I didn't want it look like the clouds were moving. I wanted that crisp look in the clouds. If I would have had a longer shutter speed, then you really would have saw some really deep water movement, and you might have because everything was moving, you would have saw the clouds moving, and I didn't want that. I wanted it to look crisp. One second. The poly? Oh, yes.
I'm curious, when you're getting ready for a show, do you pick shots because you have a visceral reaction to the shot, or are you trying to tell a story?
I'm always trying to tell a story. That's one thing. I think the storytelling is most important, along with that emotional feeling. If like I said, if I'm not feeling that emotion, I'm not going to take the shot. Because then I think that the viewer will feel the same way as I'm feeling. I want you to be deeply involved in what I see. If I'm not connecting to that image or to that area, then I feel the same that you may not also. Yes.
In that picture in particular, the shutter speed, any of these have time elapse?
No, I didn't time elapse. So time elapse is many different shots is time lapse. So mine is, I'm just like,
Because I get a feeling of movement. A lot of your
yes. So that is the shutter speed.
that is the shutter speed.
Yes.
Okay. Because right in my mind and my eye is drawn to a certain thing in the photograph when I first see it. Then as I start looking at it, I get the feeling that there's movement
Yep.
in the photo.
Yes, that's the speed.
That's the speed.
Yes. Yeah, that's the speed, and that's why I say when I learned at Seascapes when I started, that was like a blessing of me, because that's the most difficult, of trying to get the speed and understanding the speed. For me, I was just there, 5 o'clock in the morning until I went to work, and sometimes I went to work wet, and people are looking at me like, what the hell? You know, so, but, I mean, it was, I really worked hard at understanding the speed and understanding, counting the seconds between the waves, and all of these things. I was just trying to condition myself. Yes.
Within your agenda, did you ever have the same photo within different categories?
I may have. I'm trying to think of which one are you thinking?
Well, the forest one had a lot of like waterfalls, different categories. You had it very well organized, but I didn't know if it was my imagination that I saw the same photo in different.
I don't think so. Did somebody else think? Did anyone else think so? I didn't think so. Hold on, now you got me interested in this. Hold on a sec, I got to see this. You said number 210?
When I see black and white, to me it's like this was piano. When I see color, I think piano, violin, horn, drums, percussion.
Oh, so this,
It's a different season of the same photo.
it's actually, yes, it's actually in the same category, but so I did that many times. So this photo, this is a great example. So I took this photo in color, and then I took it in black and white. Same, I mean, in a matter of seconds from each other. Yeah.
Go back one.
You want to see it in black and white? Yeah. Yes.
Have any favorites?
Do I have any favorites? I do. The one that I just showed you, that was very difficult. I just took this one a week ago, and I really like it.
Where's that?
Wyosip Lake. I actually wasn't on the lake to take that particular photo. This happens a lot. I could be going someplace to take a specific shot, and then all of a sudden something else catches my eye. For that shot, it was just that I was going paddling out there, and I knew what I wanted, and then all of a sudden from behind this island, the fog started rolling in, and I'm like, oh my gosh! I'm like, okay, so am I in the right location or not? So I quickly paddled because it was moving really, really fast, and I knew it wasn't going to stay there, and it was coming from a location that the fog usually doesn't come in through. So that's what made it very interesting to me, and I happened to be in the right place at the right time paddling, and also this was very unique because when I was setting up my shot and looking, and my kayak kept moving, and these ripples, which I didn't want in there, I was really upset. I'm like, gosh, how do I stay still so that there's no ripples in the water? And I couldn't get it that way, so I just said to heck with it. And now I've gotten a lot of comments that everyone loves the ripples, and I didn't want it in there. So it's. But to your question, Barbara, I do like this a lot. This particular photo, I'll tell a story. And I don't know if my wife knows it, but she'll probably be upset about it. So this was in California, and it was kind of a stormy day, and my back is up against a cliff, like like this, and the tide was coming in, and the waves were getting bigger. But the seagull was not cooperating the way that I wanted it to cooperate. It kept flying off, and then it would come back. And so I'm like, well, I'm going to wait. And so I must have waited for, I don't know, 20 minutes or so, because the fog was not moving. The fog was staying there, so I was pretty happy. Next thing I notice is that I'm up to my knees in water, and the waves are coming in. And so this huge wave was coming, and I could see it, and my back is already up against the cliff. And I'm like, oh boy. So, so I climbed the cliff. I climbed the cliff as high as possible, and the wave still got me, but it could have been a very bad situation. But yeah, so I really, this is one of my favorites too. But I think, I could go through this whole list and say which is my favorite. Like this one, if you take away the reflection here, it's basically just a tree that's out on the ice that has grown. So what has caught my eye when I was looking, this is in Austria, no, this is in Germany. It's in Germany. This is what caught my eye. The reflection in this puddle, to me, makes the photograph. So it may have been like 10 degrees. I was really cold. But if you want to if you really want to think about, oh, here it is here. So this photo is very simple, but it's one of my favorites because it took so long to get this photo. Months and months of me waiting for the fog to come down. Every time I went to this location, the fog was always high. And I needed it down to get this photo. And then one day, it was down, but I had been to this location so many times over the past 5 and 6 months. I knew exactly where to put my tripod. I knew exactly what my camera settings were going to be. And so taking the photo was simple. It was just click. But the 6 months of waiting and going there and looking and observing where am I going to put the tripod, where am I going to set up, all of that time, all of that research, all of that observing paid off, because then I finally got what I wanted to get. So if you would ask, this is one of my favorites because of the time it took to get it. Yep.
Photography is all beautiful, it's all nature, pretty much exclusively. Occasionally there'll be a person in the shot, only very occasionally.
Very occasionally.
How do you decide whether to capture? One in the desert with the guy standing off.
Yeah, that's where I'm going to right now. So this, I don't want a person in my photography. That's just me, and my wife may want me to get more people in my photography. I don't want people in my photography. So this particular shot, as I am hiking through the desert, I saw the light here, and I was really fascinated by it. So I'm setting up everything, my tripod, and in the desert, if the wind is blowing, so this was not during that chaotic storm that you saw. This is maybe a month earlier. So you could see footprints here. So I'm setting up, and I'm like, what the heck? This person's gonna walk into my shot, you know? That's what I'm thinking. I'm pretty upset. I'm like, what the hell? But then they start, whoever this person is, who I tried to find after and never found them, starts walking across, and I'm upset. And then I see this little light forming, and now my mind's going, holy cow, this person's gonna keep walking to this light? You're gonna be kidding me. This is like a gift. So I'm waiting and waiting. The light's changing. The person is stopping every second. I want to yell, keep walking, keep walking, but I'm not saying anything because I don't want to disturb the person. And then the light here was changing also, and I'm like, oh, I'm not going to get it. And then they just kept walking, and it was stopped right. Well, I don't think she stopped. She just kept walking, and I timed it perfectly, and that's the shot. Yeah.
Did you ever think to crop that particular one and get the person out of there?
No, I never thought that at all.
Okay.
Yeah, no, because I thought, I thought that this was, I took, before the person came into view, I took a couple of shots here because I'm really focused on this. This was really, 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 really pretty. And then that was just a total bonus. That was like a gift. And I never thought to crop that person out because I think that really makes the photograph. That's part of the story. Yeah. Barbara.
How about the people in the boat? They were right in the middle, I don't know which one it was.
People in the boat?
Yeah, in the lake.
Oh, yes, you're right. There is people in there. Darn it. Yeah, so that
Was that just a
spurred them on.
happened?
Yeah, so I saw the people on the boat, and I'm like, okay, the light was perfect. I'm like, they're not going to keep going right into that area. That's going to be, so I just waited and waited and waited, and yeah, I forgot about that. Yes.
So your Yosemite pictures are spectacular. Are you going to do a book? Have you done a book? Have you done any publications of your beautiful photos?
No, I have not. I will. I think I will. That's why I say the one, Salt the Air, of all those photos. Maybe I'll keep building that, but Yosemite to me is very special. I love going there, and my wife wants to go back there in another month. Yeah, I love being there. It's out of the national parks there. It is one of my favorites, but Sequoia, I love. I could spend countless amount of times there. Yes.
So, full disclosure, I followed David for many, many years, photography. And one of the things that I wanted to highlight is that David does not manipulate the environment, right? He waits and lets the environment dictate and impacts it with it. If you guys knew the amount of time he spent in his car for days to get 1 second shot, awe-inspiring how much work, prep work you put in to actual moments happen.
Well, thank you, Kelly.
Maybe one more question and then
What else? 2 more questions.
I know you don't manipulate, you said you don't manipulate, so I think you already answered this question, but there's 2 photographs, 23 and 24, that look like they're both black and white in color.
23 and 24.
23 and 24, and I looked
So-
at them, I thought, did you do something to make
So
half of it black and white and half of it in color? I think you've already said you don't manipulate.
So let me clarify. I do post editing for lighting and shades, but what my post editing is minimal because I want, if you're going to go to the location to see what I shot, then that's what you're going to see. You're not going to say, well, this doesn't look anything like, no, I want you to see it exactly. So I try to get it as close as possible. So this is 23 and 24. Are these the ones you're referring to?
Yeah, let's
Okay. Yeah, so this is a great story. So this is Half Dome in Yosemite. And once again, my wife and I were doing something, and my phone tickler said there's a storm coming to Yosemite. Boy, I was waiting for this type of storm to come, a snowstorm. No snow yet, but there was. So I said, I gotta go. Storm coming to Yosemite. And I had already had some visions in my mind of what I wanted to take. Half Dome being in a storm was one of them. Get in a car, I drive, 5 hours to get to Yosemite, 5, 6 hours from where we lived. I get there, she's texting me, they're gonna close the roads down. I'm like, I want to get what I want to get. And so off in the distance, it was just unbelievable that the storm was coming. And no, this is a color photo. And this one and the other one, I actually toned down the color because it was so colorful. It was ridiculously colored. And then like this. So I'm sorry that the projector's not showing exactly the way. This looked like it was on fire and lava was flowing from it. It was unbelievable. And I'm here and I'm in my nice little cozy spot behind a rock, and the storm is coming, and it was probably one of the most unbelievable sunsets that was behind me, shining on here. Just unbelievable. And I didn't make it down. I luckily had to stay overnight because they closed the roads down, and yeah.
So I'm assuming that you started off photography as a hobby at one time. You're very, very, very talented. Was there one particular shot that you said,
Yes.
hobby photographer?
Yes. So in 2000 maybe it was 2007, I went on a trip to Africa, safari. And I had to get a camera. Because I wanted to take pictures there, but taking pictures wasn't even in my mind of being like a photographer or even a hobby at that time. I wanted to take pictures because I was going to see animals. And I remember the people that were on the trip with me, they were saying, wow, you got some good photographs here, and blah, blah, blah. And I'm still not thinking anything of it. All I'm doing is going from memory from National Geographic and how they took photos. I mean, I looked at so many books, it was like embedded in me, and I never really thought about it. And then I came back and I was showing people that work, my photos, and they were like, wow. Then I went again in 2017, maybe, 2016, 2017. And I'm taking photos and I'm telling the guide what I want. And he's asking me, how long have I been taking photos? But from that time, from 2007 to then, I was just taking pictures of kids playing soccer and things like that. And so I said, well, now, I'm taking pictures now. And he goes, you have to be kidding me. He goes, you're asking me questions of how to see the animals like the professionals do when I take them around. And I still didn't think anything of it until I was showing him some of the photos, and he's like, wow, you should really be thinking about this and doing it more often. And at that time, yeah, I did start thinking about it. Work was getting more stressful, so that's how I started taking more. I started going to the ocean and seeing. But And then there was one shot. I don't know if I can find it. There was really one shot that solidified it. What would that be? It's not even in my presentation. It's no, it's not there either. It's I know where it is. So this shot, I think this is the shot that really transformed my mind to thinking this is really what I want to do. As I was taking this shot, this is obviously a male lion that's all scratched up and beat up, but he was so muscular and so masculine, and his brother is behind him and doesn't have a mark on him. So this was the fighter and this was the lover. And I'm looking through my lens and his eyes are looking right at me. And at that point, there was really a connection that I had. And I started thinking, wow, this is, maybe this is what the photographers felt like when they were, in National Geographic and all the other animal shows. Mutual of Omaha, I used to watch religiously every Sunday night, all that. And then, so it all was like a build-up to this. But this, I think, this was when I was really, and the guide was like, my gosh, you're taking pictures like the people that I show around. Yeah, so that made me feel really good.
Well done.
Thank you. Yep. Thank you very much.